Hello, everybody. Are we ready? Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Just ask you to please turn your attention this way. I'm just going to introduce our program, and then we have some folks to hear from. So, for those who aren't aware, this month is Jewish Disability Awareness Month, sometimes referred to as JDAM. And this is a month that is observed each February to raise awareness, deepen understanding, and promote inclusion of people with disabilities within the Jewish community. It invites us to reflect on our shared responsibility to ensure that Jewish life, our synagogues, schools, programs, and rituals is accessible and welcoming to everyone. Rooted in core Jewish values, such as B'Tselem Elohim, which is the belief that every person is created in the image of God, Kavod Habriut, which is human dignity, and Arevut, which is mutual responsibility. This month encourages learning, conversation, and action. JDAM challenges us not to only recognize the barriers, but to work together to remove them so that all members of our community can participate fully and meaningfully in Jewish life. May this month inspire greater awareness, compassion, and concrete steps toward a more inclusive and caring community for all. So our Tikkun Olam committee has organized a few speakers in honor of Jewish Disability Awareness Month. Folks from our community who can speak to the experience of the intersectionality between Jewish community and navigating life with a disability. So we're going to hear, I don't know what order we're hearing from folks, but we're going to hear from, in some order, Jerry and Mitch, and also Alyssa is going to read on behalf of Beck, who wasn't able to be here today. And then I will ask maybe some follow-up questions at the end. So Alyssa's going to read first, and thank you to Beck, who wasn't able to be here. We're looking forward to hearing about her experience.
So I haven't actually read this yet myself, so... oh, sorry. How's that? Okay. So I haven't actually read this yet myself. In a shocking turn of events, my disability has disabled me. These are Beck's words. I was going to talk about being physically disabled, about how the chair itself isn't bad. It's an amazing tool that gives me the freedom to participate in life when my body otherwise would prevent it. About how the worst part is actually the social consequences. Everybody forgets every social skill they've ever been taught when a wheelchair shows up. Like, I went back to college after my accident, and nobody spoke to me for a full year. But I've always felt at home at Shalom, and my theory is because I was using crutches for the first several months. It wasn't until you all knew me and liked me that the wheelchair made an appearance. Does anybody remember the young adult woman in the wheelchair and who I assume was her mother? They were here a few weeks right when I started in November 2023. They sat at the back table. I haven't seen them since. I've been here long enough to know that we welcome the stranger because we were once strangers in Egypt. Did we welcome them? Did anyone speak to them? I was going to talk about how it's really hard that everybody believes they are entitled to your medical information when you're using a wheelchair. Why do you use that? What happened? What's your story? I'm a chronic people pleaser who couldn't set a boundary to save my life, so I'll tell you the story. I think all the information is pretty cool, medical stuff. I think all the information is pretty cool. Medical stuff is fascinating. But the appropriateness, guys. I'm so much more than using whatever mobility aids I happen to be using that day. I'm a whole person, whole human with a rich life. Why are the wheels your only question? The truth is that I have a brain injury. Your brain controls literally everything about you. So I became physically disabled. There's also cognitive stuff, memory gaps, and a childlike naivety. And it caused Meniere's disease. It's a problem with the fluid in my inner ear, and that's why I can't be here today. The unpredictability of disability, I had no idea this was coming until I woke up and felt there was no way I was even moving from my bed today. I am always disabled, but the degree it impacts me fluctuates within the day. My disability isn't a constant. I might be using my wheelchair, might be using my crutches, might just have my ankle and knee braces on. I might be tall, or I might be slouching, based on how tired my spine is. And that's just physically. But I'm the same person no matter what I'm packing. Thank you.
Thank you to Beck for sending those words for us. I don't know if Beck is watching, but we're all thinking of you, and we miss you when you're not here. And hopefully, if you're not watching now, you'll be able to watch the recording. Our next speaker will be Jerry. Are you ready, Jerry? Okay, great. Come on up.
I cannot begin to even come close to what Rebecca was hoping to impart today. The only thing I can honestly say, we all have to come through obstacles in our lives. Mine did not come by way of an accident, just came by way of just old age. We're all going to come through certain frailties, and I'm not really terribly concerned about the frailties I have. What I'm more concerned with for all of us is what do we do when we're confronted by problems in our lives, whether they be physical, emotional, or whatever. And much like Becca was saying, I'm Shalom in many ways, and the number of people that have helped me in so many ways endure some of the difficulties that I'm currently facing. I'm thinking this is what disability means. It's not the ability to recognize the problems you have, which is certainly important. More importantly than all of that is to basically take good accounting of where you are, the resources that are available to you, and take each day one day at a time, because that's all we ever get. I can't say any more than that, but thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to let you know that I am ever thankful for this community that I've somewhat become part of. So for all that, I say Shabbat Shalom to you all, and may we all be there for one another when we need each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Careful. So our next speaker is going to be Mitch. Come on up. And welcome back from your travels.
I'm just going to give you a brief understanding of what it was like raising and dealing with a child with special needs. I'll break it down into 4 stages. The first one was David was born. At some point, we realized at his young age that there was something different about David, and that really made us as parents start to question ourselves. Did we do something wrong? Was there something we did during pregnancy or whatever that may have caused it? And I think that was much harder for my wife than it was for me. And just coming to the realization that things are different. There was the point there where you think, how are we going to deal with this? And you think, some people deal with it, and I've seen this with other families with special needs. We're going to fix this. We're going to cure it. We're going to work so hard that this is going to not be part of our lives anymore. We're going to have a whole child, because our thinking was warped in those days. And then some people think, we're going to do the best we can with it. So early stages were maybe like anything with grief. I mean, you think of what your hopes were for your child are not quite what you think they're going to be, and you deal with a little anger, maybe a little just an uncomfortable feeling. And then you get to the next stage where he's growing up, and you start to have more acceptance of the condition, and you realize this is a special boy, and there's so many things that he can do that are special, and we can keep working with him, but our expectations of what the final child is going to be or man is going to be might be different than we thought when we decided to have kids. I mean, so that's part of it. We went through a lot with him growing up, where you had to deal with teachers, you had to deal with family. I mean, family, although they love them and they want to love them, but it's hard. They treat them in a different way than they would the other grandchildren, and that's it's a bit hard, and sometimes it'd be hard on, again, depending on me or my wife, how they were treated, who's ever more sensitive to those things. But the teachers were tough. I mean, some of them were so amazing, just fantastic, really brought them in and be part of the fabric of the school, and some were questioning why he's even there, and that was a big part of it growing up, and so you had to get through that hurdle. In the last number of years, or 10 years or whatever, since he's been out of school, he's done some amazing things. You see his music, which is great. I mean, and he's really could have a full career in music. We don't push him that much, but he's playing at all sorts of retirement homes now. He plays for all sort of functions. He could be busy, 20 days a month if he wanted to be playing, but he must play, 8 times a month at different places, and he's, making a living he could for himself. He's a very accomplished athlete too in the Special Olympics. I don't know if you know, he represented Canada and in the World Olympics in Schladming in Austria, and he won some medals. Now he's in the Barrie Hall of Fame, the Barrie Sports Hall of Fame, because he won some medals there. He continues to do a lot of that, and his other big strength is on computers. But so he's a great guy, and growing up with him now, I mean, we're like buddies. I mean, it's like having a 10-year-old your whole life. And I don't know if you remember back when your kids were 10, they're sort of innocent, but they want to be with you. They enjoy being with you. You can do great things together. You can learn together. And I've got that constantly. He's always there. He always wants to go do sports or do something. And, we do things together. He has his own time, but he's, been quite independent. He can go places on his own, do things on his own. He took a music degree down in Toronto, and we had to teach him how to take the subway all the way out to Mississauga every day and come home. And he did all that, at a younger age too. So a lot of great things along the way. And as it says on this little thing here, down here, this was from my father. It says Nefesh Tov, and I think David really is a Nefesh Tov. He brings a calmness to a room, a smile to most people's faces he's around. And when he performs places, people just, he brings a good wind into the room. And we're very lucky for that. And I think he's, in some ways, he's, you know, if people ask me, you know, what can a special needs person do? Does he really bring value to the community? Well, I could say to them, well, I think he brings a lot more value than what do you do that's so special? What is your special talent that you bring to the community? And he's lucky to have something like that. I think he brings something special. And then finally, it's going to be the last phase, and that's the most troubling phase for us when we grow old and we have to make accommodations for him to live a life when we're not there to support him. When we know him well, we know, you know, how to deal with the things that aren't going bad. I mean, he's very capable, but it's still going to be very different for him when we're not there. Now, he has 2 brothers. Hopefully, they'll be there for him, but there's a lot of preparation, and that's probably the scariest thing in our lives right now is what's going to be when we're not there, and are we going to have him in a good setting, and when do we move to that setting? Do we wait till we're much older and do it, or do we get him in early so he can accommodate to that? And if there's problems, and for everybody with special needs, I think that's, with kids with special needs, I think that's a big, big fear in their lives. But it's been an amazing journey for our family, and you know, hopefully he's brought some joy to this congregation and the other people around, and he is a nefesh tov.
Thanks so much, Mitch. I think what I'm reflecting on as I'm listening to the speakers, and something that I was thinking about when we first started talking about what we were going to do here at Shalom in honor of Jewish Disability Awareness Month. A lot of Jewish communities, when it comes to this time of year, spend a lot of time talking about what they could do better. And it's sort of an opportunity in a lot of synagogues to say, you know, oh, our bima isn't accessible. Maybe we need to do something about that. Or maybe we need to, you know, thinking about things that we haven't thought about before. And what's incredible about Shalom is that when we got the email that had sort of a checklist from Jewish Disability Awareness Month, from the people who organize it, they sent like a checklist of things your community can think about doing. And Shalom has done 90% of them. It was really cool. One, you know, and things that maybe not everyone realizes, or not everyone was here when it happened. So, you know, I said like, oh, this is such a great idea to put a mezuzah halfway down so that people who, you know, are in a chair can still touch the mezuzah. And Jody said, oh, we have that. We did that. We did that for Bernice. It's there in the lobby. I didn't know. And one of the things that I first fell in love with about Shalom was David and the way that he's included here. That told me everything I needed to know about this community when I was thinking about what kind of community I wanted to come to as a rabbi. That this was a place with real generosity of spirit and a real understanding of what it means to fully include somebody. I've been to lots of synagogues where if somebody like David was doing the music, there would be less generosity of spirit about it. And that isn't how it should be. It should be like this, where everybody's thrilled to see him, and we love what he contributes. And it sets a model for how we include others. So I'm really proud that it doesn't feel like we have to have a conversation about a checklist of things that we haven't thought to do. And I also hear in Beck's remarks that there's always more we can do. And that even if as a institution, we've done the checklist, and we have an accessible mezuzah and an accessible bima and accessible on an elevator, and we have all the things. There might be ways in which each of us still needs to examine how we engage with people who come into our community who are different, or who look different, or who act different, or who have a disability or a special need. And it's important that we hear Beck's invitation and a bit of exhortation to make sure, you know. I would love to know who that woman and her mother was. Is that someone we can reach out to again, you know? But it's really important to hear Beck, to know that even if we're doing it right 90% of the time, there might be a 10% where we're not getting it right. And even though we're really proud of the kind of community that we are, it doesn't mean that we can get lazy and not keep trying to be better. And I also want to acknowledge what Jerry said about the state of mind, that there is so much that we can learn from folks and the challenges that they experience. Jerry gave such a good example of that, teaching us about, you know, having a good state of mind even if your body has changed. And I think that's part of the key to what Beck is saying, is that when we think about what kinds of questions we might want to ask somebody who comes into our community with a difference, maybe we should be asking the kinds of questions or thinking about, you know, what can we learn from this individual, not asking them private information about themselves, but asking them about themselves, you know, and creating opportunities like this one to learn from them, from their wisdom and from their experience. So I really want to thank Beck and Jerry and Mitch for sharing with us, for reminding us that people are more than their bodies, that there are parts of disability that we see and also parts of disability that we don't see, that somebody's physical presence doesn't necessarily represent their state of mind, and also that families who have somebody in their family who's navigating a disability or a special need, that also changes over time. I think, Mitch, that was so important to hear those stages, you know, and to remember that if we have families in our community, you know, when was the last time you asked Mitch how David's doing or how their family's doing? And that changes over time. So if you haven't checked in with someone in the community in a while to say, how are you? You know, what's new? What's changed? You know, what do you need? To make sure that we're circling back and asking those questions, and recognizing that things change. And so even if somebody is doing well one day, they might not be doing well the next. And that was a really important reminder. So thank you again to all of our speakers. I think this is a great opportunity. I don't know if people want to share a little bit after, or maybe just to think about writing in to Jody and myself and the board, if there are things that you've noticed that we're not doing that we could be doing, this is a good time to share those things so that we can think about how to keep being the best Shalom we can be. Yeah, Mark. Absolutely. I think that is a great kind of question that you could ask somebody if you're looking for an appropriate question to ask. You could ask them what their hobbies are. You could ask them what they like to do in their spare time. And engage with them about something other than their disability and learn about that other side of their lives. It's great. So I want to thank the Tikkun Olam committee. Felice is the chair. Sandra's here. Alyssa, Judy. Is there anyone else? Sorry? Cindy? Anyone who helped make this event happen, thank you. It's great to have a Tikkun Olam committee. It's a relatively new or reestablished committee in our community, so we're excited to see what else you're going to bring. And this was a great opportunity, so thank you for organizing it. There's going to be, there is planned to be a screening of a film called Laces, which is a Hebrew film with English subtitles. We just want to get a sense of who's staying to make sure. So 1, 2, 3, great, wonderful. Enough people that will do it, so great. So we'll take a few minutes to set up. If you've got anything to throw away or you want to finish your food or whatever, take a few minutes. If you're not staying for the film, this is a good time to head off, and we're going to start in a few minutes. Thanks, everyone.
Why isn't the screen working? Because I turned it off until I got it set up. I just want to make sure the sound works.
Actually, I watch it. Can I watch it?
No, you cannot. Otherwise, you know what? Mommy's gonna call the pottery party place and say
I watch
we're not going.
Can I watch it?
No, thank you.
Can I watch shoelaces?
Where's the speaker on this?
I don't. I'm gonna do the party. Hello. Hello.
כן, ראובן. בשבילך. קח הודעה. רוצים להשאיר לו הודעה, הוא עסוק. ראובן, רואים שזה דחוף.
חננה בן הקשה אומר, עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, ותיקח הבא להם תורה מזאת שנאמר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה ויאדיר, קדיש יטוב.
I don't think he has any.
גדל והתקדש
What happened with the screen? Why is it all funky now? Yeah, that's something that's touching it. There.
כן. כן, ראובן. בשבילך. קח הודעה. רוצים להשאיר לו הודעה, הוא עסוק. ראובן, רואים שזה דחוף.